Today, in the media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon se, Samvad Sarokar News, Bharat Post News, Caru News, Organ Donation India Foundation, and Gyan. Our endeavor is to enlighten you with the current topic. And today's topic is not current, not only current, but very, very relevant. And I would also like to inform you that today's program is also in association with Indo-Gulf Management Association. And today's topic is teachers' role in nation building. If teachers are builders of nation, then we are building blocks of so contribute in making of new India. Teachers are the future builders of our country. They are the providers of knowledge and wisdom. They are the basic source of education for most of the people of the country, and they are the ones who build the future of the nation. The teachers can very easily decide what they want the nation to look like and educate the masses accordingly. They have the ability and the strength to fight the odds and make India a powerful and a well educated country. The changing times call for new methods of pedagogy that may help us equip our younger generation to learn, explore, and contribute more efficiently to the society. So, to discuss this very, very important aspect, teachers' role in nation building, we have a very elite, experienced, well qualified, those who are authority in, in this big, all are educators themselves. So, I would like to invite my first panelist guest. He is Dr. Naveen Gupta. Dr. Naveen Gupta is the director of Hindustan Institute of Management and Computer Studies, HIMCS Sharda Group of Institutions, Mathura. Dr. Naveen Gupta is a leading behavioral scientist, trainer, management consultant, and therapist. He studied at the IIT Roorkee and has 34 years plus years of academic experience in teaching and research at the business schools in the USA, China, Hong Kong, Dubai, Oman, Sharjah, Nepal, Macau, Sri Lanka, etc. He has worked as the top academic and administrative leaders, including as Director FO, several business schools, and as a Director General with Advent Institute of Management, Udaipur, Rajasthan. He also runs today Soldiers of Society SOS, a NGO in Agra, making difference to the life and livelihood of the auto workers or the auto drivers and other poor sections and enhances the experiences and memories of the national and international tourists to the city of Taj. Uh, Welcome, Dr. Naveen Gupta, on our show. Dr. Naveen
Thank you.
Gupta, you being a teacher yourself and you are teaching and you are a director also of an institute, so you are also dealing with the teachers as well as the students. We would like to know your views on teachers' role in nation building. Dr. Naveen Gupta, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lal Goel ji. Thank you, Professor Mohan Agarwal sir. Thanks to all the panelists for giving me this opportunity. I was thinking the topic is really need of the hour, very relevant. And I mean, keep on thinking, teacher, why they are not coming forward when we have a lot of frustration around us. We cannot expect from the politicians. Very few are good politicians. I cannot blame to all. We don't have expectation from the media. Then what to do? I remember the words of the APJ Kalam Sahab when he talked about the corruptions around us. Only three people can change: mother, father, and a teacher. The role of teacher is so important in national building, but unfortunately, if I talk about my country, I'm from India, they are not taking their responsibility. They are also in the rat race. The objective of the even of the education was, I remember, मैं छोटे से कॉलेज में स्कूल्स में जाया करता था, बाहर लिखा हुआ था, शिक्षार्थ आइए सेवार्थ जाइए. But in an economy of the capitalism and all that, the role of teacher has lost somewhere. I'm just sharing my own example. I work with Naseem ji. That's great. I can see him. I got an opportunity to work in Dubai in 2005. When I was there, I used to introduce myself very proudly. I'm from a city of romance, Taj Mahal, from a city of love. तो तुरंत वहां से रेस्पॉन्स कुछ लोगों का आता था, ताजमहल is good, but Lapka culture is there. Lapka is a local word in Agra. Lapka means tout. तो मुझे को बड़ा शर्मिंदगी होती थी ये सब सुन के. Then I keep on thinking, we talk because I'm a man of human resource. We take classes on cultural change. Can we change a culture of a small city? हम लोग जैसे आपने बताया गोयल साहब ने कि बेवल साइंस मेरा बैकग्राउंड है, मोटिवेशन की हम जब बात करते हैं तो वी कैन गिव नंबर ऑफ थ्योरीज, वी कैन टॉक, बट इफ यू आस्क मी कैन यू मोटिवेट समवन, दैट्स नन ऑफ माय एरिया. तो वो सब चीजें चैलेंज कहीं ना कहीं लग सकता है कि क्या ना, आर वी ओनली गुड इन द क्लास, कैन वी गो बियॉन्ड द क्लास आल्सो, और टीचर्स हैव गॉट अ बैड नेम. If we talk, कोई भी इशू पे आप बात करें, when we talk about the global hunger index, और कुछ भी बात करें या करप्शन की बात करें, what a teacher is doing. तो हमें ये सिंगापुर का जो एक्सपेरिमेंट हुआ था, वो उसको कहीं ना कहीं हमें भी रेप्लिकेट करना ही पड़ेगा. टीचर्स हैव टू टेक द रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. इफ यू टॉक अबाउट द रिसर्च, वी मे बी हैप्पी, मोस्ट ऑफ द रिसर्च वर्क वो क्या है कि ठीक है कि यू हैव गॉट अ पेपर पब्लिकेशन, स्कोपस एंड ऑल दैट, बट आम आदमी को इससे क्या फायदा हो रहा है? इफ यू आर नॉट मेकिंग एनी कंट्रीब्यूशन फॉर द सोसाइटी, तो आपका एजुकेशन रिसर्च वर्क, तो मुझे लगता है कि वो एक बेईमानी है अपने साथ भी, प्रोफेशन के साथ भी. तो वही सोच के हमने सोचा कि आई विल जस्ट शेयर माय ओन एग्जांपल व्हाट आई डिड. मोहन सर काफी बता रहे थे, एंड वो पर्सनली इसको विजिट करने आए भी थे कि आप क्या कर रहे हैं. बहुत सारे प्रोफेसर मसूद फ्रॉम हैदराबाद, ही आल्सो विजिटेड व्हाट यू आर डूइंग, एंड आई ट्राई. मैंने एक छोटी सी स्टोरी पढ़ी एक अखबार के अंदर में. देन वी डिसाइडेड कि लेट अस गो बैक टू इंडिया और वहीं कुछ करते हैं. तो काफी लोग हमारे वहाँ अच्छे फ्रेंड्स बन गए थे. तो उन्होंने कहा कि यार व्हाट वी कैन डू फॉर डॉक्टर नवीन गुप्ता सो दैट ही कैन स्टे बैक. तो आई जस्ट शेयर, मॉर्निंग में हम लोग जाते थे योगा वगैरह के लिए, क्लब बन गया था. मैंने, देयर इज नथिंग रॉन्ग विद दुबई. दुबई इज अ ड्रीम लैंड फॉर सो मेनी पीपल. बट दैट रिमाइंड्स मी a story of my childhood, which you must have heard number of times through ghazals, through qawwali. There was a boy, he was in deeply love with a lady. He proposed for marriage. Lady asked, there is nothing wrong, I can marry with you, but I have a condition. I want heart of your mother. Not an issue, my mother is not very productive now, she's about to die, and she never refused me for anything. He went to the mother and I want your heart. तो उसको स्टैप करता है, हार्ट लेके जैसे ही उसको चलता है तो उसको ठोकर लगती है. ठोकर लगती है तो उसका हार्ट से आवाज आती है, आर यू ओके माय सन, आर यू ओके, प्लीज टेक केयर. एंड देन वो जाके उस लड़की को उसको कहता है कि नाउ दिस इज द हार्ट ऑफ माय मदर, लेट अस मैरी. तो वो एक जवाब उसका जो सुना, उसने कहा, इफ यू कैन नॉट बी लॉयल टू योर मदर, हाउ यू कैन बी लॉयल टू मी. मुझे खराब ये लगता था व्हेन आई वाज इन दुबई, और बहुत शॉर्ट पीरियड के लिए थोड़ा यूएस में भी था. नथिंग रॉन्ग, जाइए सब काम कीजिएगा, लेकिन व्हेन यू क्रिटिसाइज इंडिया, व्हेन यू से वहां क्या है, कुछ भी नहीं है, तो मुझे लगता है कि इट इज आवर रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, ए टीचर रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एटलीस्ट. और मैं तब यही कहता था, कम से कम अगर आप कुछ भी नहीं कर रहे हो तो गाली तो मत दीजिएगा, गाली तो मत दीजिएगा. तो वो थोड़ा सा समाज में आया कि मैंने कहा चलो या तो शायद परहैप्स दुबई में इज नॉट गुड फॉर मी, तो लेट अस गो बैक आगरा। हम लोग आगे वहां फिर मैंने 2014 में कि करें क्या करें क्या करें क्या, माय फादर हैज बीन ए फ्रीडम फाइटर, तो उन्होंने तो बहुत बड़ा काम किया, उनके सुनते रहते। तो मैंने कल आने वाली जनरेशन मुझे पूछेगी, या मेरे स्टूडेंट्स पूछते थे, अभी क्या है कि रोल मॉडल क्राइसिस है, आफ्टर एपीजे कलाम देयर इज नो वन। माय फादर हैज बीन फॉर्चुनेट, लाल बहादुर शास्त्री की बातें करते हैं, विनोबा भावे जी की बातें करते हैं, गांधी जी की बातें करते हैं, मैं किसकी बात करूं? मेरे बच्चे मेरी बात नहीं कर सकते, मेरे स्टूडेंट्स मेरी बात नहीं कर सकते, व्हाट आई एम डूइंग? तो वो सवाल बार बार गूंजते रहते थे दिमाग के अंदर। तो एक मैंने न्यूज आइटम पढ़ा, नजीर ऑटो ड्राइवर ने 1.5 लाख रुपया एक लड़की का उसकी ऑटो में रह गया था, वो उसको वापस करने गया। मैंने कहा यार हम इतना थ्योरी पढ़ते हैं मैनेजमेंट की, इतना मोटिवेशन की थ्योरी पढ़ते हैं, लेट मी आस्क कि व्हाट इज द ड्राइविंग फोर्स? नजीर को मिलता हूं। अदरवाइज हम जब लपका वर्ड यूज करते हैं तो मुझे ध्यान आता है कि हर कोई तो लपका है इस देश में। ब्यूरोक्रेट्स पॉलिटिशियन आते तो एकदम लपकते हैं, विद ड्यू रिगार्ड्स हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर साहब भी, ट्रम्प साहब आए तो लपका। तो लपका तो एवरीबडी, वी आर ऑल अपॉर्चुनिस्ट समवेयर समहाउ। वो फोर्स छोटे से अपने काम करने के लिए अगर वो किसी को टूरिस्ट को पकड़ना चाहते हैं उसमें थोड़ा सा, क्योंकि उनको नॉलेज नहीं है, तो वो चीट भी करते हैं बाय वी यूज द डेरोगेटेड टर्म्स। दे हैव आल्सो राइट एक सिविल तरीके से रह सके, इज्जत से रह सके। तो वो नजीर ऑटो को 2014 की बात है, 15 अगस्त को मैंने कहा कि नहीं, लेट अस यूज। हमारे पास क्या है कि ये बड़ा पुरानी सेइंग है, मोहन सर भी कहते रहते हैं कि दिस सोसाइटी इज बैड बिकॉज ऑफ द इनएक्शन ऑफ द गुड पीपल। और एप्रिशिएटिव इंक्वायरी जो ओडी टूल्स हम लोग बच्चों को पढ़ाते थे, मैंने कहा लेट मी अप्लाई। और मैंने कहा हम लोग ट्राई करके देखते हैं, बुराई क्या है, एक्सपेरिमेंट ही तो है ना, सोशल साइंटिस्ट हैं, लेट अस डू। फेल होगा तो फेल होगा। तो मैंने कहा यार मैं भाषण नहीं दूंगा इस बार 15 अगस्त को। भाषण क्या दूंगा मैं? गांधी जी ने ये किया, जवाहरलाल जी ने ये किया, उन्होंने ये किया। वो बच्चे तो पूछते होंगे कि यार तुम्हारी हमारी मजबूरी है आपको सुनना, आपने क्या किया, आपने क्या किया? आई हैव नो आंसर। मैंने तो कुछ कंट्रीब्यूट ही नहीं किया अभी देश में कुछ रीबिल्ड करने के लिए। तो वही सोच के हमने कहने के भाषण देते हैं मुझे शर्म आती है, लेट अस वर्क। तो नजीर ऑटो ड्राइवर को हमने वहां जाके सम्मानित किया। मैंने कहा फॉर अस वीआईपी इज ओनली अ पर्सन हु इज यूजफुल फॉर द सोसाइटी, irrespective of his designation पोजीशन, क्या उसका स्टेटस है। एंड बिलीव मी, आज भी मैं इसको कोशिश करता हूं, जो आदमी ईमानदार है, एथिक्स वाला है, ही इज ओनली वीआईपी फॉर मी। वो चाहे रिक्शा चलाता है चाहे सरकार चलाता है, उसके अलावा मुझे किसी की पूछता ही नहीं। मैं अब टीचर है, एटलीस्ट आई कैन, मैं तो इतना करेज दिखा सकता हूं ना। और लोगों की मजबूरियां हो सकती हैं, हम लोगों की मजबूरी शायद नहीं है टीचर की। वी हैव लॉट ऑफ फ्रीडम। तो हमने वहीं से स्टार्ट किया, नजीर कैन वी हैव 10 पीपल, आप जैसे लोग, और हम उनसे बात करना चाहते 1 घंटा ऑन एवरी फ्राइडे। वाई फ्राइडे? बिकॉज फ्राइडे में ताजमहल बंद रहता है, तो देयर इज नो लॉस ऑफ इकोनॉमी। एंड अनकॉन्फ्रेंसिंग वे में हम आपसे बात करेंगे, कोई वीआईपी सिंड्रोम ना, कोई पानी आएगा ना कोई माला आएगी, और हम लोग खड़े होके बात करेंगे। और चार का मतलब चार, बिकॉज वी नीड टू चेंज द कल्चर। बहुत आराम से कह देते हैं, कहने का ये तो इंडियन कल्चर है, तो हु इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर द कल्चर? आई थिंक समवेयर समहाउ, जब मैं फिंगर पॉइंट आउट करता हूं, तो आई गॉट अ गुड लर्निंग लॉ ऑफ नेचर। Three fingers are towards me. 75% I am responsible for each and everything. If I am poor in a poor country, perhaps 75% I am responsible. 25% external environment. I cannot say COVID आ गया, ये हो गया, वो हो गया, वो मेरे हाथ में नहीं है। बाकी तो we all believe in a God, ऊपर वाले का कर्म जैसे भी होगा उसको छोड़ देते हैं। But let me work on 75%. तो हम 4 से 5 उनको मिलते थे, and I was so surprised, sir, ये देख के कि वो इतना क्यूरियसिटी से खड़े रहते थे, गर्मी हो या बरसात हो, नूरी मस्जिद के सामने 4 बजे हम लोग खड़े हो जाते थे और हमें इतना मोटिवेशन मिला उनसे। हमारे बच्चे जब व्हेन वी टेक ए क्लास, तो 1 घंटे क्लास में वो 50 मिनट में ही घड़ी देखने लगते थे, पर ये 1 घंटे के बाद भी दे वर सो फ्रेश। 10 के बाद वो देखा कि और बढ़ते चले गए। इस तरीके से हमने 150 ऑटो ड्राइवर्स को हर फ्राइडे को ट्रेनिंग देना शुरू किया। पहले हमने 10 दिन का कैरिकुलम बनाया उनका कि व्हाट कैन बी द रोल ऑफ ऑनेस्टी। उनको थोड़ा समझाया कि देखिए, ये तो ताजमहल तो हमें विरासत में मिला है। गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया हैज स्पेंड लॉट ऑफ मनी अतिथि देवो भव आमिर खान जी के थ्रू। देयर इज नो चेंज एट ऑल। मैंने कहा नाउ लेट अस ट्राई थोड़ा सा भी, मे बी ए स्क्वायरल एफर्ट्स, एक गिलहरी प्रयास तो हम करके देखेंगे, इनसिग्निफिकेंट से ही। उनको धीरे धीरे बात करते करते बहुत सारे, हमें 10 दिन का कैरिकुलम हमने बनाया था कि सोने की पहले फिलॉसफी कि सोने की मुर्गी का अंडा आपको एक दिन ही चाहिए या रोज रोज चाहिए। रोज रोज चाहिए तो यू नीड अ बिग चेंज इन योर बिहेवियर, यू नीड अ बिग चेंज इन योर कल्चर। अतिथि देवो भव फिलॉसफी को हमें री इंट्रोड्यूस करना पड़ेगा, अंदर लाना पड़ेगा, तभी हम देख सकते हैं आपकी इंडिविजुअल इकोनॉमी, माइक्रो इकोनॉमी, इकोनॉमी ऑफ द सिटी, इकोनॉमी ऑफ द कंट्री। अदरवाइज वी हैव गॉट इतना हमारे पास सेकेंडरी डेटा था कि लोग कहते थे कि ताजमहल देखने आते थे, लेकिन ताजमहल बिना देखे ही चले जाते थे बिकॉज ऑफ द इल ट्रीटमेंट, indecent behavior of the all लपका, जिनको एक लोकल स्लैंग है, टाउट्स, इनकी वजह से। गवर्नमेंट, लोकल गवर्नमेंट पेपर में स्टेटमेंट देते रहती शहर में लपका बहुत है। तो व्हेन आई वाज डूइंग माय वर्क, मैं बड़ा ईमानदारी के साथ, मेरे कुछ स्टूडेंट्स भी जाते थे, कुछ फैकल्टी मेंबर्स भी, मैंने फोर्स किसी को नहीं किया, मैंने कहा इफ यू हैव इंटरेस्ट प्लीज गो एंड जॉइन अस। तो सब आते थे, उनको अच्छा लगने लगा ये सब चीजें। धीरे धीरे कारवा बढ़ता चला गया, मुझे भी बड़ा मोटिवेशन। आज भी तारीख में प्रोफेसर मसूद वहां से आए हैदराबाद से, कहने का आई वांट टू वर्क, आई वांट टू सी। पर वो गए, स्टडी करके गए, कहने करना कैसा, मैंने मुझे भी नहीं पता, ये तो ऊपर वाले का पता नहीं कैसे एक हमारे पे हो गया है। और कोई मुझसे गए कहीं और इंट्रोड्यूस करो, परहैप्स आई कैन नॉट डू, I don't know what is the management theory. Perhaps all Professor अशोक शर्मा जी और मोहन अग्रवाल जी बता सकते हैं कि क्या मोटिवेशन था या क्या थ्योरी है इसके पीछे। तो कमिश्नर ऑफ आगरा, ही कॉल्ड मी, उसने कहीं से नंबर लिया, प्रदीप भटनागर जी, कहने का आई वांट टू मीट यू एज ए टीचर। वो थोड़ा सा दिमाग में, टीचर्स आर आल्सो एरोगेंट, तो वी कैन अफोर्ड दिस एटीट्यूड। मैंने व्हाई शुड आई मीट, मुझे क्या जरूरत आ रही इसको। बट ही, मेरे प्रमोटर से बात किया कि नहीं नहीं नवीन जी से मुझे मिलना। तो वो पहली मीटिंग जैसी हुई, तो फिर वही ब्यूरोक्रेसी से मैं भी बायस रहता हूँ कि यार ये कुछ काम वाम करते नहीं है। तो उसने तुरंत पूछा कि व्हाट डू यू एक्सपेक्ट फ्रॉम मी। This was the first dialogue. He was a good person. Why should I expect from you, sir? You have everything in with you. आपके पास डंडा है। जब आप एक स्टेटमेंट देते हैं कि शहर में लपके बहुत है, I am a director of a small college. If there is a law and order problem, मुझे किसी से फेस टू फेस नहीं हो सकता, शक्ल नहीं मिला सकता। तो ये तो आपका मतलब, आपके पास तो डंडे भी है, सब कुछ है, पावर है। मैंने कहा आई एम ए टीचर, लेट मी ट्राई, मेरे पास तो एक कलम की पावर है, देखते हैं कुछ सक्सेस। तो खैर आर्गूमेंट सा होने लगा, फिर कहना दिस इज योर सिटी। तो आई वाज नॉट देयर फॉर आर्गूमेंट। तो मैंने कहा नहीं सर, आई अंडरस्टैंड, लेट मी डू माय वर्क, आई डोंट नीड एनी सपोर्ट। देन ही शेयर विद मी, कहने का वी हैव गॉट अ वर्ल्ड बैंक प्रोजेक्ट आल्सो, ट्रेनिंग के लिए, इन लोगों के लिए। तो मैंने कहा सर आई डोंट वांट मनी फॉर दिस प्रोजेक्ट। मनी का आई हैव सीन डिफरेंट रोल होता है। मनी जैसे मेरे दिमाग में आ जाएगा, तो आई यूज्ड टू से, बिकॉज आई एम ए कॉर्पोरेट ट्रेनर आल्सो, कि मैंने वहां जाता हूं तो मुझे इतने पैसे मिलते हैं। फिर मेरी वाइफ भी जा रही है, उनका भी निकाल लीजा। फिर साथ में नसीम जी है, इनको तो दे दिया, मोहन जी को जैसे नहीं दिया मैंने, तो वहीं से थोड़ा डिफरेंस हो। मैंने कहा सर ये तो मेरे को एक सोशल पूरा रखने दीजिएगा, और पैसा तो ठीक है सर, भगवान की उससे हमारे पास ठीक ठाक है। मोहन जी ने बताया जैसे, ठीक का मतलब एक ही बहुत नहीं है, बट आई एम सेटिस्फाइड, कंटेंट जितना एक टीचर को होना चाहिए उतना मेरे पास है। तो दैन ये कारवा हमारा सर चलता रहा। पहले हमने इसका नाम रखा LTA, लपका नहीं, आपको आपका बनना है ना, LTA लपका नहीं आपका। फिर उसका नाम चेंज हुआ, हमने फिर और अडॉप्ट कर लिया दूसरा स्टेशन राजा की मंडी। थोड़ा सा लिमिटेशंस तो आया, बिकॉज टाइम बहुत कम है हमारे पास, तो मैं ज्यादा इस पे बात नहीं कर पाऊंगा। तो लिमिटेशंस भी हुए, चैलेंजेस भी बहुत आए। फिर धीरे 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 करते करते हम लोग थोड़ा हेल्थ इश्यूज पे बातें करने लगे, क्योंकि आगरा में एक कल्चर है, परहैप्स लाल साहब ने भी देखा होगा क्योंकि आप मथुरा से ही हैं। जैसे मूवी बनी थी उड़ता पंजाब, आगरा में है थूकता आगरा। तो गुटखा खाते हैं, वो थूकते हैं। गुटखा खाना अपने आप में जो पान मसाला होता है, अपने आप में हेल्थ हैजर्ड्स उसके भी है, और साथ में जो वो जब थूकते हैं तो पूरा का पूरा अभी जो इस तरीके के जो वायरस फैल रहे हैं तो उड़ के कहीं ना कहीं अपने ऊपर आते हैं। तो आई वाज जस्ट टॉकिंग विद देम इन ए होटल अमर। तो कुछ होटल इंडस्ट्री हमारे साथ जुड़ गई थी, वो अपने पर्पज से जुड़ी थी, बट इवन देन मैंने कहा इनको एक डिसेंट लाइफ स्टाइल कैसे बैठ के, फिर हम कॉर्पोरेट ट्रेनिंग के स्टाइल में आ गए इनके साथ। मैंने कहा लेट देम हैव ए फील प्रिविलेज्ड। हमने जो यहाँ यूज किया सर, उसमें हमने देखे कुछ टूल्स में जो होता है कि मैंने बताया कि अप्रिशिएटिंग इंक्वायरी, अनकॉन्फ्रेंसिंग वे, पिगमालियन इफेक्ट, है ना, सेल्फ एस्टीम को बढ़ाया इनका। सेल्फ एस्टीम में ये बढ़ाया कि जैसे भी कोई अच्छा काम करता था, कई सारे हमारे पास वी हैव गॉट आई कैन से मोर देन 1000 एग्जांपल्स नाउ, जिस तरीके से इन्होंने काम किया। किसी का पासपोर्ट रह गया, किसी का लैपटॉप रह गया, सड़क पे दुर्घटना हुई है। अभी भी आज मतलब मैं फेडअप हो जाता हूँ, पर सुबह सुबह इनके फोन में जरूर पिकअप करता हूँ, सुबह से 7 बजे से, सर ये हो गया, आज हमने ऐसा किया, आज हमने ऐसा किया। वो हम तुरंत पब्लिक इसमें पब्लिसिटी के लिए इनको न्यूज़पेपर में डालते थे। न्यूज़पेपर को भी अच्छा लगने लगा, पर वो ज्यादा हो गया था। तो न्यूज़पेपर वाले भी थोड़ा सा, मैंने कहा भाई इतना ज्यादा नहीं हुआ, तो फिर उनको किसी ने कम्युनिकेशन दे दिया कि वो ही हेट्स मीडिया। मैंने कहा नहीं सर, मैं मीडिया को बिल्कुल भी हिट्स नहीं करता हूँ, क्योंकि अगर पीछे पड़ गए तो मेरी तो प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगी। मैंने कहा देखिए कबीर दास जी अगर खुद ही लिख के छपवाते तो कौन पढ़ता। तो मैंने कहा यार कुछ काम करने दो। और हाँ, इनका जरूर इंपॉर्टेंट है, बिकॉज बेचारों ने कभी नहीं देखा जब इनका घर में नाम पहुंचता था, इनके बच्चे पढ़ते थे, वो उनको सेल्फ एस्टीम। सर हमें तो आज तक लोगों ने कभी इज्जत दी नहीं, डंडे से बात करते थे, गाली गलौज से बात करते थे, पैसेंजर हम पे डाउट ही करके चलता था कि वी आर जस्ट लाइक टेररिस्ट, अपॉर्चुनिस्ट, दे विल चीट। एडवाइजरी भी दिल्ली से आप जाओ, वो नो बी अवेयर ऑफ द ऑटो ड्राइवर्स एंड टैक्सी ड्राइवर्स ऑफ द आगरा। हमें हर आदमी बड़ी छोटी नजरों से देखता था। We use Pygmalion effect. You can do. Oh, you have done such a wonderful job. तो वो सारे के सारे हमने इन पे अप्लाई करके देखा, जो हम किताबों में पढ़ते थे और क्लास में पढ़ाते थे। सच अ वंडरफुल एक्सपीरियंस। इमीडिएटली जैसे हमारे होटल में हम बात कर रहे थे ऑटो ड्राइवर से कि भाई हेल्थ टिप्स, मेरी वाइफ डॉक्टर अंजू वाज टॉकिंग, तो एक ऑटो ड्राइवर ने कंप्लेंट किया, सर आई हैव गॉट अ प्रॉब्लम। अभी ये तो हमारे लिए कहने वॉक द टॉक, कहने के सर बोलते बहुत अच्छा हो, लेकिन जब एक्शन की बात आते हो तो आप इधर उधर हो जाते हो। तो इमीडिएटली मैंने अपनी ड्राइवर को कहा, वाइफ को लेके तुम घर जाओ। मैं उसके ऑटो ड्राइवर में बैठ के डॉक्टर नरेंद्र देव के पास पहुंचा। लॉन्ग स्टोरी, वेल आई ट्राई टू समराइज। तो मैंने कहा कि सर इस, तो उसने कहा नवीन इसका तुरंत ऑपरेशन करना पड़ेगा। मोहन सर, मैंने कहा अच्छा कितना पैसा लगेगा? कहने का इसने 1-1.5 लाख रुपए करीब का खर्चा है, बट वी नीड इमीडिएट। That's a very good example of the networking and resource which we can share with the students also. मैंने यार चलो ठीक है यार, लीडरशिप का एग्जाम्पल बड़ा अच्छा लगा मेरे को। यार थोड़ा सा डिसीजन ले लो, बाकी तो सब रिसोर्सेज अपना आप भी मैनेज हो ही जाते हैं। मैंने कहा यार यू गो एट, आई विल मैनेज। तो मैंने आई आस्क माय डॉटर हाउ मच मनी यू हैव, बिकॉज वी डोंट सेलिब्रेट बर्थडे लाइक और बच्चों की तरह से, बस पैसा आता है वो एक गुल्लक में जमा करती रहती। कहले पापा आई गॉट 30,000 रुपये, मैंने जस्ट सेंड मी इमीडिएट। मैंने नरेंद्र देव से कहा, डॉक्टर नरेंद्र देव से, मैंने 30 पकड़ो, फिर बाकी देखते रहेंगे, हम करेंगे। In the meantime, मैंने सब ऑटो ड्राइवर्स 150 ऑटो ड्राइवर्स वर देयर फ्रॉम द कैंट स्टेशन. मैंने उनको कहा, मैंने आई विल टेक केयर ऑफ द मेडिकल, आई विल टेक केयर ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल इशू, बट इसके बच्चे भीख ना मांगने लगे क्योंकि अगले 3-4 महीने रिक्शा नहीं चला पाएगा. बिलीव मी, सब ऑटो ड्राइवर्स ने इतना बढ़िया नेटवर्क बना के उसको ब्लड देना है पुष्पांजी हॉस्पिटल के पास. वो सब लोग कहते हैं ये क्या है. तब तक हमने उनको यूनिफॉर्म वगैरह भी, क्योंकि डिसेंट ड्रेस और ये सब यूनिफॉर्म वगैरह हमने देनी शुरू कर दी थी. तो पूरे आगरा सिटी में दे वर इन अ नीट एंड क्लीन वे. तो वो सबके सब लोगों ने उनके घर में राशन पहुंचाना, उसके घर के उनके बच्चों को स्कूल छोड़ना, और भगवान का बहुत बड़ा आशीर्वाद रहा, वो ठीक भी हो गया. वो सोचा था कि सर मैंने तो ये सोचा हुआ था कि मैं किसी सरकारी अस्पताल में जाके पड़ जाऊंगा और जितने जीवन जीना हो जी जाऊंगा. देन वी थॉट कि व्हाट टू डू, कि यार ये इस पे गुटखा कल्चर पे भी कुछ काम किया जाए. दिस वाज इनिशिएटिव ऑफ माय वाइफ डॉक्टर अंजू जैन. तो उन्होंने
Dr.
कहा कि
Gupta,
क्या करें.
you have to be, please be brief because
हाउ मच टाइम सर. हाँ हाँ,
it's already you have crossed your time.
ओके, विद इन
Almost.
2 minutes.
Yeah, please, thank you.
ओके. तो हमने फिर वो गुटखा कल्चर पे काम करना शुरू करा, उसको ऑल्टरनेट बनाया आयुर्वेदिक, जिसका नाम विकल्प से है. फिर वहीं से भोजनालय की भी स्थापना हुई, बिकॉज दे कैन नॉट हैव अ प्रॉपर लंच. तो हमने कहा तुम, पैसा मेरा बच गया था उसमें से, काफी लोगों ने मुझे डोनेट किया, भाई साहब वगैरह भी ने भी मेरे को किया. वहां से फिर हमने एक भोजनालय की शुरुआत की. अब हम भोजनालय पे हम करंटली काम कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि कोविड के बाद एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन प्लस फूड फॉर द नीडी. अभी हमारे 204 सेंटर चल रहे हैं, जिससे हम 200 लोगों का फूड हम दे रहे हैं. इसको हमें और बढ़ाना है, आगे बढ़ाना है. So I think there's a long story to share with you, but since time is a problem, so I would like to stop here. Thank you very much for
Thank you very
listening
much,
me, sir. Thank
Dr.
you.
Naveen Gupta, for sharing your own experiences. And Dr. Gupta started with that about that corruption is everywhere, and he says, except there was earlier used to be the role model, now there is no role model. And he also mentioned that India should come out with a Singapore model, which I am sure in one of the programs somebody will explain what is Singapore model for the benefit of our viewers. And he mentioned about that his father is a freedom fighter. Nowadays, the freedom fighter is a taboo word, because freedom fighter means bheek mein mili hui freedom hame. But he mentioned about the one rickshaw driver, and he says how he has changed the rickshaw driver's news, because it has appeared in 2014 about Mr. Nazir, that how he has returned the money to a passenger, 1.5 lakhs. So he started educating the rickshaw drivers, and that is set an example, and it has become a cult now in Agra, and about the etiquettes, honesty, all those things, and supporting sometimes financially also. And he says about the habit of spitting the pan or the gutka, which is very much there in North India. Although he mentioned that we should not criticize our country, but the media's role should be positive and should to open the eyes. If media will also say no, our country is very good, everything is hunky dory, then no politician, nobody will open their eyes, and whatsoever is going on will go on. But this Dr. Naveen Gupta is like an example of a teacher, how the teacher can build a nation. If such type of teachers are there in our country, definitely whether it's a politician, the bureaucrats, or civil society, they will all be tamed, and they have no other option, will have no option other to serve the country and see to it that the nation is built. Thank you very much, Dr. Naveen Gupta, for.
Thank you.
I'd like to invite my next guest, and he is Dr. Naseem Abidi. Dr. Naseem is the professor and dean, School of Business at Skyline University College, Sharjah, UAE. Dr. Naseem has an excellent academic record with Master of Science in Operations Research, Master of Technology, and Doctor of Philosophy degrees in Future Studies and Planning. He has 3 decades of work experience in business schools and government as educator, researcher, academic administrator, and software professional in India, UK, and UAE. Welcome, Dr. Naseem Abdi on our show. Dr. Naseem, you have heard what Dr. Naveen Gupta has spoken, how with his starting with a small effort has created so big thing that it's a one step for nation building. And he also mentioned that people goes to the other country and then they criticize India or India country. But you are there in Dubai, and you are teaching there, and you are the director there, dean there. So, but I'm sure your heart bleeds for India. We would like to know your views about the teacher's role in nation building. Dr. Naseem Abidi, please.
Thank you, Mr. Lal Goel, and my guru and mentor, Professor Mohan Agrawal, and the fellow panelists. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity to talk about this very important topic, which is teachers' role in nation building. And when I'm going to speak on this topic, I'm going to feel it also, because I'm a teacher, so somehow I am going to speak from my heart, as well as I'm going to feel that where I'm lacking and what else I can do. So that kind of a feeling I'm going to have. Thank you, Professor Naveen Gupta. We had a small tenure when you would just join, and I was about to leave in Dubai. So I'm here in Sharjah from last 4 years, but then yes, I keep on frequently visiting India. I still have my base in India. I'm still a proud Indian, and wherever I go, I feel for my India and I work for India. So before I start, there's a lot more stuff which has been already written, spoken about the role of teachers in nation building. But I would like to try to take a little different perspective, not going into the past and looking at what has been said or written by Saint Kabir or by other saints or scriptures. What he has mentioned that what is the role of a teacher, and not only just about nation building, it's about the whole world, which can be made a better place with the help of role of our teachers. But I would like to take some perspective which is at present, and those present perspective in the sense that I will like to start from the nation building, and then I will move to that what is the role of teacher and how we can collectively play a good role to make the things better. If I take my, let's say, what is the current perspective in terms of, let's say, sustainable development of a country, then I get a framework which is Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations. So if I look at SDGs, which are called as SDGs, these SDGs, there are 17 of these SDGs of the United Nations, and all the members of United Nations, they are working towards this one to make a sustainable development of a nation. And these out of 17 SDGs, one of the SDG is the quality education, which is in number. If you look at the number, it is fourth number, and it has certain targets. So those 17, the one of them, which is quality education, is fourth of them, and it has certain targets. And just to mention some of the targets, let's say, for example, the target 4.3, which is saying that by 2030, ensure equal access for all women and men to affordable and quality technical, vocational, and tertiary education, including university. So the certain targets are fixed there. For example, target 4.4 says that by 2030, sustainably increase the number of youth and adults who have relevant skill, including technical, vocational skills for employment, decent jobs, and entrepreneurship. So certainly there are certain more targets, but then not to read all of them. And there's, let's say, for example, the target 4.7, which says that by 2030, ensure that all learners acquire the knowledge and the skills needed to promote sustainable development. So I mentioned about these, some of the targets of the standard, which is the fourth one, which is about the quality education, which refers about the sustainable development. But out of the most important thing out of these 17 sustainable goals of SDG, one of the most important one I consider myself is this quality education, because this one is not just a goal. This one is also a means to achieve other goals. So I repeat this one because I strongly feel that this education, quality education, is not just a goal to be achieved in sustainable development of United Nations, but it is also a means to achieve all other goals. And that's why I consider this aspect. And why I consider this one, because I am a teacher, so I strongly feel that there has to be a quality education. And through quality education, we can achieve a lot more sustainable development. I looked at furthermore about this SDG ranking, and it is not very happy state of affair to share that we stand 120. And this fact or data which I'm sharing is SDG ranking of 2021. That means I'm talking about this year latest ranking. And in that ranking, India stands as at 120. And our score is 60.07, and which is not a very impressive. And a country like Kenya, a country like Namibia, Botswana, Ghana, they are having a better ranking than the India is having a ranking on Sustainable Development Goals ranking of United Nations. And this is not a very happy state of affair. I went into further deeper because there are 17 goals to be achieved. So I looked at where we stand in all these 17. And the SDG, the United Nations SDG goals, they provide more details. This is publicly available and anybody can access these details through Google. So I found that this our 120th rank, which is not very good out of 165 countries ranked. Each one of them I looked into it very carefully and then found that the fourth one, which is the quality education, is having challenges and it is decreasing. It is having a downward arrow by the United Nations SDG. So this one is very further saddening affair to look into the fourth goal, which is the quality education. And there we have challenges and we are decreasing. We are going down. We are not going up. We are not increasing and we are not improving. And this is the data and the facts which is coming from United Nations SDG. So I looked into further that, okay, let me compare with some other countries versus India, because I feel very strongly about India. So I looked into further that where we stand and how our scoring is in the region. And when I looked into that, and then I found on this particular goal, on the fourth, quality education, the Bhutan, Bangladesh, they are going upward and their education system is improving as compared to us. And that's further giving me not a good feeling as a teacher. And I feel strongly that, yes, we have not done well. And then I'll try to look at another aspect, and I'll be stopping here to look at comparing and finding out where we stand on. Then I found that there is a concept of learning poverty. And this concept of learning poverty, which has been developed by World Bank and UNESCO, and they have defined there's a learning poverty. And where we stand on the learning poverty, the learning poverty basically is an indicator which combines the concept of schooling and learning at the end of primary education, building on indicators of reading proficiency and school enrollment generated in SDG 4 reporting process, which is the SDG 4 means the quality education. And where we stand on this learning poverty. So our country, like India, is standing around 55% on learning poverty, and which is too much. And it is not a very good affair. Now I look at, this is what currently we stand for. And then look at the role of teachers. What the teachers can do, the role of teacher is to teach, to encourage, to instruct, to mentor, to praise, to influence, to guide, to inspire, but not only to the individuals in the class, but also to build the nation and to build the world as a safe place. But how to do about this one? Yes, as an individual, we may be having a lot of good teachers here and there, but where is the collective effort? The collective effort of the teacher. It may be in a district, it may be in a state, it may be in a country. There has to be a collective effort, and we have to project ourselves as more professional and take up more responsibility outside our class, outside our institution. And we have to go out and take up the responsibility in building the nation. Somehow, I, as a teacher, feel yes, I am also part of not being able to contribute much in terms of when it comes to a collective approach and collective contribution on the teacher's role in nation building. So when I looked at what could be a possible way of looking at it, how we can go about it. So one of the 5 principles which is given by the World Bank, which is available on a global platform for successful teacher, it is already available on Google, it is publicly available. So one of the framework which is given by this World Bank as a 5 principles, and that I looked at and I found that yes, it was given in 2019. It was slightly before the pandemic. But the situation, because the pandemic has gone worse in our country and in most of the country, and about affecting our education as well as nation building. So that 5 principles, I will just read those 5 principles that what they say and how we can move on to look at this framework as one of the possible solutions that we can do something more when we implement this one, while World Bank is helping to the more than 80 countries to perform and use this platform, perform well in quality education. The principle 1 of this World Bank says that make teaching attractive. So this profession has to be made attractive so that the talented people should join this profession. The second principle, which is about this 5 principle of the World Bank, says improve pre-service education. So before you enter into the education sector, you have to have certain things which you have to do. That means we have to improve pre-service education. The principle 3, which talks about improve the selection, allocation, and monitoring. That how we do all these 3 aspects, we have to improve on these. The 4th principle, which is of this 5 principle, is to provide high quality professional development and school leadership. So we have to look into this 4th principle. And the 5th principle, which is there, is called as use of technology wisely. So we have to look at that aspect also, because in a country like India, everyone is not having that access to the smartphone and internet where they can learn, though we have improved a lot, but still we have to go a long way. And this corona has affected it very badly. So it is going to be more challenging than what we have to do. So if I have to summarize what I feel at the moment, then I have to say that what we are doing as an individual level, at a micro level, yes, there are a lot more good people in this profession and they are doing it. The only thing which we need is a collective effort where we have to change the entire internally, the systems, as well as its impact at a state level, at the national level, and so contributing to the world level. So I would like to stop here my discussion. Probably in the interaction and question sessions, I will be able to add more. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Naseem, for giving your views. And Dr. Naseem mentioned about the SDG 17, the United Nations goal for sustainable development. And he says that in that the quality education is the number 4 on that 70 on the, among the 17 SDGs. And he says that India, about this SDG 17, stands for 120 out of 165 countries ranking. And he says that even the Kenya or Nambia and other small countries are far better than the country. And this quality education he says when he probed more, he found that the quality education in India is decreasing, while the small countries like Bhutan and Bangladesh, they are going up. So he says that too, for that also they have given the goals what one should do. And if the teachers will decide that how they can improve the ranking by giving those quality education to the students, then definitely it will be in one way a nation building. Because if the students are getting quality education at par with other countries, definitely the country's image, country's development will grow like anything. And this is a very very important part. So if the teachers want, and if the teachers decide to contribute their role importantly, effectively in the nation building, if they will just concentrate on the education, on the quality education, that will play very very big role. Thank you very much, Dr. Naseem, for giving your views. I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and he is Dr. Ashok Sharma. Dr. Ashok Sharma is the director of Jagannath International Management School, Kalkaji, New Delhi. Dr. Ashok Sharma has a doctoral degree in the area of marketing. He is a multidisciplinary expert with masters in computer science also. Dr. Sharma is a certified case study method teacher from Harvard Business School, publishing house, and Microsoft trained faculty. With more than 25 years of experience in industry, academics, research, training, and consulting, he specializes in the area of marketing, digital marketing, and strategy. Welcome, Dr. Ashok Sharma, on our show. Dr. Ashok Sharma, you have heard our earlier panelist, Dr. Naveen Gupta, as well as Dr. Naseem Abdi, and both have given their views. Dr. Gupta mentioned how he has done the social engineering in the for the development of the nation, while Dr. Naseem mentioned about the SDG and how the teachers can play very, very important role for nation building. Now, we would like to know your views on the teachers' role in nation building. Dr. Ashok Sharma, please.
Uh, Thank you. In the starting, first of all, I would like to thank Mr. Goel for giving me the opportunity and Dr. Mohan Agarwal actually to getting me into this entire forum. Uh, I totally agree with my co-panelist. Like in today's scenario, the things have evolving, and there is going to be a different scenario that we are going to see in days to come. Whether it has to be working at the ground level or whether it has to be our presence at the international level, which is going to be there. My both of the earlier panelists, they have given two different perspectives regarding the same. I would like to pitch across a different perspective regarding how the relationship between a student and a teacher has to be built across. What are the emerging dimensions out of that, and how that could be actually be contributing into the nation building. I would like to first of all start with my talk with Doha of Sant Kabir Das, a very popular one. Guru Govind Dau Khade, Kake Lagu Pae, Balihari Guru Aapne Govind Dio Bataye. The summary of this entire Doha actually states that whenever there is going to be a choice between whether I need to go before the God or before the teacher, the Kabir says that it is the teacher who needs to be given first a bow rather than the God. Why? Because it is the Guru, the teacher, who tells us the path that how we are going to actually attain the God. In fact, in India, like we had this tradition of actually celebrating the Teachers' Day. In fact, now the UN also is getting onto the same mode, and they're also getting onto the World Teachers' Day. That means the importance of teacher is actually being highlighted, and it is being actually emphasized at the international level also. It is being understood that the role the teachers play in achieving the quality of education is very, very essential, not only for any nation, but for the overall society as such. During the COVID, we all have seen that there has been a lot of impact on the learners. Approximately 90% of the world's total enrolled population were affected by the school closures. The entire crisis affected the students and the teachers alike. There have been a certain persistent weaknesses in the education systems and certain inequalities which actually have been came in the forefront. We have seen across there have been devastating consequences specifically for the marginalized. But in this scenario also, like the teachers, they have stood up, and a hashtag which I say is learning never stops, which actually went across. We have seen across a lot many case studies like this in India, where teachers they have gone an extra mile to support the learning of their students. We all have seen across that teaching is not just merely a profession. It is actually a way of living. We always say that teacher speaks a lot. So actually, it is because he himself tries to give across a lot many things to the students. In order to doing that, definitely there is lot of communication and interaction which is required. In today's scenario, like my both of the panelists are going to agreeing to this, the teaching is just not lecturing the students who are sitting in rows in front of you. You're putting across the things to them and they are taking it beautifully. In fact, it is now altogether a different perspective. What we have moved across from purely lecturing to actually an action-based learning mechanisms. We in our institution are also implementing this, and it's not only our institution, a number of other institutions are also getting onto the same platform. The teachers are now understanding that the education is not confined to only a small arena. It needs to be going beyond from a domestic to the international levels. And it is not only that as a teachers, we are just creating or disseminating the information. We are creating the knowledge. And same way, the students are also creators of the knowledge. As a teacher, we actually are making that thing to happen, catching them, and then trying to give them a certain shape. We actually are trying to put across or make those students as a lifelong learners. I always try to put across that there has to be a seed which has to be planted in them. The seed is that you need to actually learn that how to learn effectively, how to actually get across your knowledge into a shape, how to actually develop across a perspective that actually is going to help you in making certain changes which are going to be happening in the society. The seed of learning is actually going to make you a better choice maker, whether in terms of social, cultural, economic, or any other aspect which is affecting our nation. We've seen across now there are going to be new and new relationships which are emerging. It is not only a one-way communication which is going to be there. It is going to be a two-way communication which exactly is happening. These new relationships and practices are deviating from the traditional knowledge. In fact, we are actually trying to go back to our earlier roots. If I see the Indian mythology and see across the Gurukul Parampara that was there, which at some instance of time which got just faded away because of the invasions from the various different foreign forces, which identified that Gurukul Parampara is that base because of which the India, the Bharat, and these countries and this entire civilization of the society is coming up so strong. So they're trying to put across their own thinking across into the different parameters. And now, when we already going to have a multitude of the thought processes, we actually need to inculcate that feeling into our students that they are going to become responsible towards the society. They should be able to differentiate what is something which is good for them, what is something which is good for the society. We as a teachers have to adopt, and definitely we are adopting to the new practices. And we are also trying to really learn across the art and science of learning. Why I'm putting out the art and science, that it has to be systematically organized and it has to be creative enough. Each and every student is going to be unique and it is going to be different. And in our system, where we actually have to identify that what all these differences are and how we can really cater to these differences. This was something which was actually being practiced across in the Gurukul system also, where the student used to stay in the Gurukul and have the entire learning and everything from the Guru and from his peer group. So somewhere while we are into another system where we are being actually influenced by the different backgrounds, culture, society, interests. So that sort of a culture again has to be built back. And definitely there are institutions who are building and developing these all things. That we at Jagannath have adopted across a mentoring system, which is something very similar to that Guru and Shishya Parampara that we are having. Where we're trying to inculcate that the group of students associated with the faculty and who is actually nurturing and taking care of their nitty-gritty, of all their physical and social and psychological and their overall learning and their personalities. We are trying to groom across those students so that they are becoming more mature emotionally also, which is something which was not being addressed at different platforms. And somewhere down the line, those emotional quotients were not being put across. As a teacher, we are also recognizing that mastering a subject is one thing, but getting those things into an actionable one is another thing. So getting all those logical solutions into the mind, getting across the students to be passionately participating in the various activities, or rather, if I put it across, into those educational adventures. So there are different thought processes, the different natural curiosities are going to be evoked. When all those natural curiosity evokes, they start questioning, and as a as a teacher, as a society, as a responsible citizen, we should be there to answer those queries and those questions. As a teacher, it's not our task just to broadcast the content. Like we have been seen across, and earlier my panelists also talked about the research, that we have been doing research, the teachers are doing research, and they're putting across those things. But just merely doing the research doesn't suffice. They have actually pointed out that it has to be actionable research, something that is touching the life of the people. So while we are putting across that sort of a content and developing that sort of a skills into that student, we actually have to make them understand that what are going to those big ideas which are going to be there coming from something around them. There is going to be a eureka moment an apple might fall on their head, and then you would be able to find a brilliant idea out of it. But are you training them? Are my students sufficiently being trained to get across that idea that why this apple is falling down, why not going up, or why this phenomena is happening, why the phenomena is not actually happening? So whether we're talking about only those abstract things, or whether we are getting into the lives and putting across that there is going to be this phenomena, this concept which is going to be there, and then you need to learn. When I actually put across, I start my sessions, I always try to tell my students that please remember the way you have learned when you are a small kid. First of all, you learned across the alphabets, then you learned across the words, then you learned across the sentences, and then the paragraph, and then you became capable of writing the essays. Same thing, the life also, we need to understand the small, small emotions, the small observations. Those small observations can be clubbed together into a bigger scenario, which could be the sentences, which could be the paragraphs, which could be the essays. And definitely, once you are able to come out with those sort of essays, you are going to make a difference into your life also, your peer group's life also, your society also, and ultimately the entire nation also. So you need to learning those things critically, that how you're going to solve the problem. The judgment needs to be informed, and also you are actually able to bring across the new perspective out of the classes. So those learnings really need to be built across. This is what exactly the innovation is all about. This is what exactly as a teacher, something that we actually are doing, or whether we need to be doing if we are not actually doing it. We actually made students to empathize. They need to understand what the lower segments of the society actually are thinking. They need not to have that differentiation that I am having certain things, so I am more superior, is inferior. No, we all are born with the same set of skills, but when we are training ourselves, when we get across to those things, then those sort of differences they come in. We actually need to understand the importance of the teams, that singularly you cannot make the changes, but it is a team which can make the changes. In fact, in our instruction system also we are incorporate this. You're putting across mentoring into the teams where there are people from the corporate and from the institution who are combining together, and then they're training across the students in developing the different perspectives, so that once individual faculties or individual person's weaknesses does not impair their learning. So actually, they are able to get across a different perspective from the different ends. This is something like any a law firm puts across a different set of lawyers, or any consultancy put across a different set of consultants to be sitting together and then coming out with the solution. So grooming them towards getting across onto those specific parameters, putting across them the new realities, making them understand the responsibilities, making them understand the sensitivities of the systems, actually is something that I feel is reinventing the role of the teacher. The teachers are evolving, and I'm pretty sure we all, as a teacher, as a society, we understand our responsibility also. We understand our profession also. We understand that as a leader, whatever we are doing, whatever as a teacher, whatever we are doing, it is the others who are following. So we are going to be a role model, and we definitely are going to take those things forward. Again, I thanks Dr. Goel and Dr. Agarwal actually like to giving the opportunity to share my thoughts. Like I hope like there have been the certain insights as a teacher that I am able to share few things I am doing, and I'm pretty sure like the my peer group would also be adopting certain things. definitely today I've adopted two things from Mr. Gupta also and from Mr. Abid also, like how to put across and make across the changes in whatever I am doing, the ground level perspective and the global perspective. So that is something that I learned today. Thanks a
Okay.
lot.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ashok Sharma, for giving your views. And what Dr. Sharma says, I will just take one or two points. He says the Gurukul Parampara, which was there earlier, is reinvented, and we have to do similar type of things, try to educate the student, inculcate the student that what how to solve the problems and what are the innovations and how the team learning has to be done. So according to him, if teacher wants, then teacher can definitely build the nation because they are the leaders, all are the others are followers. Thank you very much, Dr. Ashok Sharma. Paucity of time, so instead of summarizing, I would like to give chance to Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal. Otherwise he will he like last time he mentioned that you are not giving me the opportunity, so I will have to give
Excuse
the
me,
opportunity to
when did
him.
I say that? When did I say that?
I will never, but your body language always say so.
Oh, you always read language also, huh? I
So
never said any of that.
now I would like because we also want to hear
I
from you.
myself, I myself said that I'm
We
a
also
little
want to
lost.
hear. We also want to hear
That is
from
a
you
better way.
more and more.
That is a
Than
better way.
yes.
That is
So
a
now I
better
would
way.
like to invite our next panelist guest, and he's Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal, very witty person. Always he's ready to. And the professors. This is the quality of professor. If a professor cannot satisfy or give reply to each and every query of the student, then the professor fails to deliver what he is supposed to. Now, Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal is the former professor of marketing, innovation and management, IIM Lucknow, XLRI, Jamshedpur and California State University, USA. He is president of Indo-Gulf Management Association. He is US Fulbright Fellow Boston, EFMD Fellow Paris and British Council Fellow London. In 2019, he was ranked among the 251 most fabulous global education leaders. Welcome, Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal. Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal, you have heard all our earlier panelists. I need not to give any details. We would like to know from you your views on teachers' role in nation building. Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal, please.
Thank you, Mr. Goel. Always, you and I always like to enjoy this kind of little sparring here or there because I also want to hear things from you. First of all, I'm really thankful to all my colleagues here who wonderfully, I would say, elaborated, formatted, as well as profiled the role of a teacher in nation building. There are many sayings, there are many quotations, and everybody started with one. So let me try one, which is perhaps attributed to Chinese philosophy, in which they said that if you wish to build a nation or create a future for a year, probably you should sow rice. If you are going to do it for a decade, probably you can do or you can plant a tree. And if you are trying to create a society, build a society for future, perhaps educate people. Now, in all these things, the central part is education. And therefore, there is no teacher as such. There is only teaching as a function. And anybody who does that particular teaching, it is not assigned to any particular caste, creed, person, strata. It is just us. Like, for instance, there's absolutely no gainsaying the fact that the biggest teacher or the earliest teacher is always mother, and then, of course, thereafter father. So while they are not teachers as such, but they are teachers because they are teaching. So this is the first point I wanted to make, that teacher is not a community. Teacher is the role played for the purpose of teaching. Now, when we talk of the role of teachers in nation building, there are three possibly civilizations which have provided the foundation for us. The first is our own Indian Gurukul Parampara, in which they said that a person becomes a very, very well-trained person if he or she goes to the place of Guru and they learn each and everything of life up to a particular stage, and then they're handed over to another guru for some specialized skills or from specialized knowledge. The second school of thought is from China, in which they did not talk about education, they talk about learning. And they were the first to have made the difference between teaching and learning, in which the Confucius and aristocrat, many other, all Aristotle and others, they all, Aristotle will come later, but at least Confucius said that, in which he said that I cannot make anybody learn. I can only ask questions. And through those questions, probably people will learn. So this is that particular tradition. The third is that Confucius thing, which I just now mentioned. So here also, Greek and Athenian, both of them had very different view of teaching. In the first case, they said that let there be the external influences, and those external influences be the teaching points and the teaching method for preparing a person. And the Athenian and Spartan both had very, very different view on that. And Spartan said, no, there should be a place where people should go and study. So therefore, the concept of schooling and the concept of mass educational schooling came into picture. Now, if we take a very funnel approach that is beginning from the broad and going to the narrow, then probably I should now talk about the higher education teachers, their role in nation building, because in most ways, they are the finishing school. They are not beginners of the knowledge. They are probably the people who shape the knowledge that they have acquired at different times. And let's talk about management teachers. I mean, again, to narrow the focus so that we can get a little bit clearer idea of the role of teachers in nation building. There are three types of people we look at, and these are the people to whom we have responsibility. The first is the fresh, raw talent who are looking for either career or perhaps to start a business, which is entrepreneurship. So therefore, both employability and entrepreneurship become the goal and become the mission for a teacher at our stage, at our part of career building, at our part of nation building in management. So this is the first thing. The second one is what we call entrepreneurship. In this entrepreneurship, we develop the people who are already working with organizations, and they need constant, continuous, regular form of relearning, learning, further learning. So we take into that account through a variety of methods. Could be corporate training, could be through workshops, could be any other way. Now, in all three ways, we are perhaps contributing at the finishing line, the contribution to the nation development. I'm not talking about the other stakeholders like social stakeholders, which my very good friend Naveen talked about, and which in itself is very, very inspiring. And I can understand that particular part also as a teacher, but not everyone is as fortunate as he is. And therefore they have to be a little bit, satisfied with few shorter versions of what probably Naveenji is doing. So what is the role that we can play in nation building? Number one, I believe that we shouldn't be at all blind to the strengths and weaknesses of the persons who is before us. So in other words, the role of a teacher is of an analyzer. And that particular person analyzes the strengths and weaknesses of that person and gives the proper direction, whether it is career building or whether it is entrepreneurship, or even when it is a social entrepreneurship, which itself has become a very established goal of one's life. So this is the first point that I would like to say as our role, that analyzer of strengths and weaknesses. The second is that we have to be cheerleader. The cheerleader is that person who really understands the value of motivation, not empty praise, but correct praise. and celebrating those moments of accomplishments by our own students through some notes, through some kind of small pat or a small phone call. Hi, wonderful, this is great that you are doing, and I really saw that. So again, social media is helping us in this particular manner of inspiring students. That short but very, very powerful words can be left either in WhatsApp or LinkedIn or Instagram or any other. So we have that kind of technology available for that second role, which is the cheerleader. The third very, very important role of ours is a counselor. A counselor is a person who listens to the people, their dilemma, and perhaps also not only provides dilemma, but asks questions towards clarity. That this is the, our goal is not just to feel good by either someone berating someone or empty praise of someone. Both of them are equally dangerous if we are not playing the role of a true counselor. A counselor allows the confidence to be built between him and the person, and then they provide that. So this is the third role that I would say in nation building we play. The fourth role that teachers, especially professional teachers like in engineering or management or any of that, they play is that they become what is known as the sounding board. Sounding board for the policies, sounding board for the directions, for the business strategies that others are playing. So as a result, we become again there someone who can critically, not any other, but critically evaluate what they are doing and what they can provide as a part of assistance. So I believe that we should not only be, of course, mindful of the philosophical role of teachers in nation building, but we should also be very much mindful of the functional role of the teachers in nation building, where very direct contribution can be seen, where very direct contribution can be sought, and where very direct contribution can be seen. That is why I always like to insist on all my colleagues, wherever a business school we have, that have some kind of social connect. Now, this social connect could be either for a social internship. Maybe Naseem will remember that we were the first business school in India who started social internship in this country in 2006. Naseem and I both were part of that particular team, and we did that very well and became a sensation at that particular time. The second thing that we did, and I'm very, very, is the field connection, by going to the industries, calling them, listening to them, and at the same time creating a, I would say, relationship of value, a relationship of mutual value for the corporate world as well as for us. Naveen does so many things that I mean, it will take me days and days to narrate the things that he does. Even he does in a very, very, I would say, narrow but extremely important area of mental wellness. Where when Naveen does this, I see that and I see, wow, what a wonderful, clear, measurable contribution he's making towards social wellness. So this is another thing that I would like to say. So I would say the teacher must play a different role in the place where he or she is in. Philosophical contributions must always be made. Role shaping, making them inspired, all those things are there. But at a higher education, where you are a teacher, your role has to be much, much more functional rather than philosophical. And that's the only thing I would like to say. So thank you very much, each one of you, for giving me this kind of platform to at least try some new ideas. Thank you. Thank you, Goel sir.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agrawal. And he says not only philosophical, but they should be involved socially also, so they can do the nation building. Thank you very much. Now, my first question goes to Dr. Gupta. Dr. Gupta, you have mentioned about the teachers and very ideal things which we have mentioned, the social work. But the dark side of the teachers are the coaching classes. One side, we think that everything is fine. The teachers are doing their duty. If they are doing their duty honestly, then why this coaching class concepts is like something which is like a disease, which is increasing day by day. Cities are developed only on the coaching class basis. Do you agree that this coaching class is also a part of nation building or not? Dr. Gupta, please. You are on mute.
Sorry, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Lal Sahab, you have spoken, you have said yourself. When we talk about if I talk about India only, because I will talk because I have got a good experience of India. We talk about demographic dividend. We are fortunate enough that we have a large population of the youth. बस मैं हर बार जहां भी जिस प्लेटफॉर्म पे कहता हूं we all need to be very responsible, be it a businessman, politicians, teacher, or anybody else. Here, as Dr. Ashok, Naseem, everybody has said, Professor Mohan Agrawal, the role of teacher is perhaps more and more important, but all we have to play. आपने बहुत ही गंभीरता से इस बात को कहा है कि अगर आई एम नॉट अगेंस्ट द कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूशंस एंड ऑल दैट, दे मे नीड एक्स्ट्रा ट्रेनिंग, नथिंग गो एट, बट वी हैव द मॉडल्स लाइक सुपर 30 आल्सो. So what is your objective? What is your purpose if you are making fool of the students and getting money out of it? तो कहीं ना कहीं जवाब मुझे किसी को नहीं देना सर, जवाब मुझे ऊपर वाले को देना है ना. कहा ना आपने अशोक जी ने, गुरु गोविंद दो खड़े.
ओके
है ना. आर यू ए फोर्स टीचर और आर यू ए नेचुरल टीचर? वो जब समझ लेंगे तो मेरा एक दायित्व है मनी के. आई एम नॉट अगेंस्ट मनी. मोहन साहब ने कहा कि पैसा वैसा.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Gupta. Time, paucity of time. Thank you very much. Now my question goes to Dr. Naseem. Dr. Naseem, one time that medical and teaching are the noble profession. Nowadays, teaching is not a noble profession. As the perception is there, people feel, the lay person feel, we are paying the money, you are supposed to teach. Earlier at our time, we cannot dare to complain about our teacher to our home. If we complain, we are getting the shouting, not like today that the parents are going and fighting with the teachers. What do you say about this? How the teacher can do the nation building if they are not getting the respect in the society?
Right, sir. Very relevant question. And these days, and I keep on telling my fellow colleagues that we have to go back to that glory time when the teaching profession was so respected. And there has to be, this is not just a profession, it's a whole lot of a character. And in that character, you have to be in a teaching character where you have to be proud in giving your knowledge and sharing your knowledge, irrespective of your money. Money is not connected with that one. But then the kind of priority which we have got in our country and the kind of policies and other kind of politics and corruptions and everything, and it has come to this profession also. And when the universities and the heads of the universities are being politicized and getting into those areas, and of course, this has come to this profession also. So probably in our country, we have to keep this health and education as a top priority. And I think that the teacher community is also responsible for that one, because they are not collectively putting it on the priority list, as well as the society also when it comes to elections and others, when you are choosing our leaders, and the entire issues goes to somewhere else. It doesn't go to the health and education.
Okay.
So probably we are also partly responsible for that one.
Okay.
And we should be starting correction method within ourselves rather than looking outside.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Naseem. My question goes to Dr. Ashok Sharma. Dr. Ashok Sharma, teaching is fine, but earlier, as you said about Gurukul Parampara, Guru Shishya Parampara, earlier they used to teach the ethics. Where is the ethics nowadays? Nobody teach ethical. That ethical education is required until unless the students will not get that thing, how they are going to be contributing in nation building. What you say about this? 30 seconds only, Dr. Sharma.
Yeah. In today's scenario, like each and everything is measured by the money power that we are having. Now, when we are measuring each and everything with the power of money, so there is going to be a different scale which is going to be there. Now, the parents, they are also asking and putting across the question in front of their children, like what you would be earning after doing this course. When they are coming and joining to a particular program, this is the first question. After doing this course, what is the salary that is going to be offered? Similarly, when you put across to the students also, he also sees that if I want to have certain materialistic thing, I need to have some sort of a money. When everything is going to be revolving around the money, the ethics takes a backseat.
Okay.
Now, this is what actually the emphasis that I was laying across. In education system, we need to have two perspectives. One thing is every student is different. So they need to be dealt differently. And second thing, this component of a money needs to be addressed in a different way. Then only this problem actually could be addressed.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sharma. My last question goes to Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agarwal. Professor Agarwal, don't you think that in politics, more and more teachers participate? Like we have example of Dr. Sarpalli Radhakrishnan, we have about Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, although he was not a politician, but at least he was the president. And so why not we bring those teachers who are, and Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya, why not we bring those teachers, or that those teachers who can do something change in nation building? 30 seconds, Dr. Agarwal, Professor Agarwal. Professor Agarwal?
I think we are very fortunate. We have a very, very good number of teachers in politics from each party. Congress has, BJP has, many others have. I'm sure you would have heard the name of Raju Bhaiya also, and also Murli Manohar Joshi. They were teachers from that point of view. Similarly, in the Congress, there are many people, but somehow the role of politician has dwarfed their role of a teacher. But otherwise, there are teachers.
And their says are not there nowadays. That is one of the main reasons that the teachers. Okay, thank you very much. So viewers, we have seen the teacher can do miracle. Not only miracle, they can build the nation, and that is a miracle, because as one of the panelists says, that our ranking is so low, and if we have to change, but why we put the onus only on teachers? What about the civil society? If we are not giving respect, it's not the politician who is supposed to give the respect. We as a civil society is supposed to give them respect. If we start giving respect, if we give them the right position, the teacher will definitely contribute more and more, and see to it the nation can be built, and tomorrow the nation can be a Vishguru. But if our own gurus are not being giving respect, they are not giving those positions which they deserve, then how the country can become a Vishguru? Thank you very much. And today's program has been live telecasted by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon se, Samvad Sarokar News, Bharat Post News, Caru News, as well as it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor to bring to you every day new topic. And tomorrow our topic is in media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. is freedom of speech. As you might be knowing, Kangna Ranaut and Veer Das. So much, what is the limit of freedom of speech? And our panelists are Advocate Shashank Deo Sudhi is practicing in Supreme Court, New Delhi. Advocate Avishi Dhaka, she is also an advocate at Supreme Court. And Mr. Nishan and the president of Rotary Club, Mangaluru, and a law student. So please tune in tomorrow for media conference Lal Goel at 10:30. And thank you very much, Professor Dr. Mohanlal Agarwal. Thank you very much, Dr. Naveen Gupta. Thank you very much, Dr. Ashok Sharma. Thank you very much, Dr. Naseem Abidi, for giving and enlightening all of us. And thank you all the viewers. And I'm sure viewers will definitely involve themselves and see to it that they should give the respect which teachers deserve.